Great rates are cute and all, but I need a lender who works on weekends, handles stress, and knows how to push all the right buttons. Today we have Nicole Rueth with the Rueth Team at Movement Mortgage. Thanks for being here, Nicole.
Oh gosh, anytime. Anytime.
So this whole episode is just meant to be about you and your team.
I could talk about me and my team all day long. That sounds perfect.
I thought it would be easy. You don't
Yes.
have to have any notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, tell us about the team first, the Ruth Team.
And I love how you open this, right? It is about having access. It's about having knowledge. It's about having resources. It's about knowing that you can count on somebody, but it's also about having some fun. You got to be able to pick up the phone and you've got to be able to have that person on the other line, be able to talk truth, but also have thick skin and be able to just roll with the punches because it's an intense market out there. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of hesitation, there's a lot of trying to decipher what is the right next move. And I think that that's where we excel. At least that's where we lead. So we're constantly talking with our clients about what is their next best move, creating and opening up a space where they can really explore in a high priced, high interest rate market. How do I decide what I should be doing next? And so we've done this. I've been doing this for 23 years.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
maybe it makes more sense actually to start with your background.
Yes.
How long you've been originating mortgages and some stuff, and then, how did the team sort of come to be and it's evolved over time.
It has.
Yeah, so why don't we start there with your background?
So I've been doing this 23 years, long time in the mortgage industry. I was corporate America before that, running large scale reengineering projects. And then I had these three amazing little babies, right? And so I stopped being corporate America. And I called up a friend of mine who just happened to be in mortgage lending because that's how people fall into mortgage lending. And I said, you've got to need help. After he said, "You're way too qualified. There's nothing I can do with you," I ended up doing his books. Like, I was like, "Okay, I just need to get off the floor." Like, my kiddos were starting to get a little bit more, in age, and so it was time. So with all of that, I started in the back end of originating, which is why I bring that up. I started out really understanding how does a loan work its way through the system, not just how is it sold, but how does it get processed? How do we deal with the servicers, with the lenders that we sign up with? I owned my own broker shop for many years. So it was really just this entire, from beginning to the very end, somebody can count on the fact that I understand how mortgages work. And that gives me such a bigger view and understanding of how this then fits into the economy and the financial structure and the solutions that we present for our clients.
Right. And, it's funny I didn't realize that you had started on the back end of mortgages. And so now it's fun to know that one of your sons is here on the team and
Yes.
that's where he is starting.
It is.
Right?
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, I would never put him in front of a client right now. He's just not ready. He doesn't understand. So he's doing the grunt work. He's just figuring it out. So that's kind of how I came through. And then over time, also buying my own investments, I really believe that I have to find the solution for every client. Like, we have to get to the yes. And it might not be now. It might be yes a year from now or yes 3 years from now. So my passion comes through in all the educating and all of the structuring of the strategy for the client. And that's why I created a team eventually. So it started out with just me and one other person, and then it grew larger than that, of course, with the pandemic. And now we've evolved into a much smaller, much more hands-on team where it's really just myself and two production partners, and then we have some folks that support the rest of it, processors, marketing, and the rest of it.
And so when you say you and a couple of production people, are those your other loan officers
That's
or
a
are you
great
talking about
question.
loan processors?
So my production partners are my two other loan officers.
Okay.
So right now I have Kira and Eric.
Yes.
Yep.
So, and
Yes.
you don't know, I work with Eric all the time.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Eric was telling me, we were on a client call the other day, and he was saying that actually everybody on the team, or maybe it's most people, have multiple properties and are really kind of everyone is bought into this larger vision of really helping people build generational wealth through real estate.
We are all very passionate about the mission.
Yeah.
100%.
I love that. So, okay. So, and maybe it would be helpful even to talk a little bit about like what is the difference between the loan officer's job and the loan processor, and then of course we have underwriting.
Yes.
Um, can you kind of just give us a little, I don't know, the basics of
Yeah.
like how all those people are working together to close the loan?
Because it seems so overwhelming, doesn't it? As a home buyer, you're like, the who needs what? Like, what is happening?
Which is why that's one of the reasons I like working with you guys because, Eric is really the main point of
Mhm.
contact for my people. So having that one point of contact is really helpful to me because then I'm the main point of contact for my client, for everybody.
Yes. Agreed.
There's
Agreed.
so many hands.
There's so many hands. And there just even is outside of lending. Of course, you've got your inspector and the title company and all these other, and then we bring in an appraiser and whether or not a survey needs to be done. So to give you the really quick overview,
Yeah.
when somebody comes in and they want to buy a home, and they'll first sit down with either myself, Kara, or Eric, and we'll decide what is the appropriate price point, what is the budget, what is the goal for the home, what are they trying to do both now and 5 years from now so that we can align the right solution. And so we're having that first conversation. We're determining what they're qualified, what you as a home buyer are qualified for, and then we'll give you that lender letter. We'll say these are the parameters by which this home buyer feels most confident and comfortable going forward. And so now that you've got that and you go do all the fun stuff, we're doing the back end stuff, you're doing the fun stuff, and you're going out and finding that home. Once that home is under contract, and we'll get involved slightly during the contract process only to call the listing agent, let them know how strong the borrowers are. But really that all falls on your side. And then once you've designed the contract parameters that are a success, then we take the ball and we start running with it. So at that point, we have the contract. We're going to disclose the loan. You're going to get like a stack of 80 pages, and you're going to be like, why? It used to be 3, and then it was 10, and now it's 80.
The initial loan disclosures are 80 pages.
They're long. It's a lot of CYA, and yeah,
I didn't realize
it's a
that.
stack. It's a
Yeah.
stack. And it depends really. It's probably 80. I'm probably thinking that the biggest stack is when you have a first and a second because you're doing down payment assistance. So, but still, you're going to have all the disclosures if you have FHA disclosures on top of that or VA disclosures on top of that. So, and all of that is electronically signed. So you'll go through that. But that's where you're going to see your fee worksheet. And you're going to see all the costs associated with the loan, the interest rate that's locked in with the loan.
And is that and so when does the loan processor pick it up?
So once the disclosures come back, and the loan doesn't have to be locked at the very beginning. A lot of people ask that question. When does my interest rate have to be locked? Or they think because it was disclosed, it was locked. You'll want to always have that conversation with the loan officer and go, when is the best time to lock in the interest rate? Should I do it right at the very beginning? Or is there something that's going to happen that I should wait a little bit? So once the loan is disclosed and the disclosures come back, meaning you've signed them, and we have the rest of the documents, the W-2s, the pay stubs, all the other things that we gather, then the loan officer submits the loan file to the processor. The processor reviews it and goes, this looks great. I see we collected the bank statements, but we're missing page 10. And you're like, I already submitted my bank statements. And I'm like, I know, but we're missing page 10. That's where the fun starts. And so the processor review will gather the rest of the documents, and then they submit it to the underwriter. The underwriter is the one that ultimately has the company's perspective in mind. The loan officer and the processor are really fighting for the client, and the underwriter is protecting the company.
The lender.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the underwriter is going to review the loan documents with a slightly different set of eyes, and then they're going to ask for any additional documentation. And they're going to say, I see you supplied the bank statement, all pages, because the processor asked for it, but I see that there were some large deposits on the bank statement, and we need to paper trail those.
Letter of explanation.
Right. And that's where you're like, I supply the bank statements. I'm like, I know. So that's why you're asked for multiple things and you'd be like, but I already did that. It's like, well, you did, but you were asking for additional documentation or clarification on the same thing. And so the underwriter reviews it. At the same time all that's happening, we also order the appraisal to determine the value of the property, which is really important because outside of that, your real estate agent, you are helping them identify the inspection. And if there's anything wrong with the property, we're identifying is the value, the correct value based on what you're paying for it.
Right. And with my people, I am holding off on having that appraiser go out to the house because once they step foot at the property, then the buyer has incurred that charge. And it's
Sure.
like $800. I mean, it is no tiny charge.
Correct.
So I typically work hand in hand with the lender to make sure that we're not having the appraiser out there until me and the buyers are for sure that we want to move forward to closing with this deal.
Yeah.
And there's nothing happening in the inspection period that is making us go, wait, we're not sure. Or hell no, which doesn't happen super often, but sometimes it does. And then you got to go back to the drawing board. But I want to make sure that my buyers aren't incurring that $800 fee until we get through that. So, and that's just one example of just the work together hand holding of the lender and the realtor. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, and then to finish it off, once the underwriter gives us the clear to close, those are the infamously perfect words when you're getting a loan. Once we get the clear to close, then you move over to the closing department and the closer will work with the title company. And this is where, like, especially if there's an HOA, this is where the title company is responsible for gathering any HOA documentation and fees associated with transferring of the HOA. So when we get to the closer, we have all of our fees, and then we get the fees from the title company. Any title company fees, real estate fees, and HOA fees, and our lender fees then get combined, and then we get the final closing disclosure to get to the client.
This is so interesting. I
Yeah.
I love that, even so many years in, I'm always still learning stuff, right? I did not realize that there was a closing department on the lender side and that that's who was balancing all the numbers with title.
Yes.
So now, do you have that person here in your office, or is that somebody at Movement Mortgage who's the closing department?
We have it at Movement Mortgage. In past years, I have had closers in my branch. Right now, we have an assigned closer at Movement Mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here in the office, you've got the loan officers, the loan processors, and then obviously marketing and stuff like that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
All right. What do you think I could run down the list of the reasons why I recommend the Rueth Team as one of my go-to lenders.
Yeah.
What are the things that stick out for you? Like, the most things you're most proud of, or like the best pros that you have on, why you think it's best for a client to pick the Rueth Team over any other lender.
No, great question. We really identify opportunities in creative financing and strategies. Probably that's our best suited. We work with a lot of first-time homebuyers, a lot of down payment assistance, a lot of move-up buyers, but we also work with a lot of move-up buyers who want to convert their current primary into a rental. So they might have questions about what does it look like to turn that into a rental? What steps should I take to turn it into a rental? Because I have so many rentals, we'll go through kind of what the process would be in supporting them in that. Or if they have a complex situation, they need a bank statement loan, they need a no document loan, they need a tax return or a P&L loan. So if we're looking at, or a DSCR loan, if we're looking at alternative loan types, or investment loans, we do a lot of that. We work with a lot of investors, or high net worth clients who don't want to document everything. And maybe we do a no documentation loan.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Well, some of the stuff that I like about you guys is some of the organization that you've put around the team. For instance, there's always somebody on call on the weekends, which is so nice for you guys because it frees up most of your weekends.
Yep.
But it ensures that even if I can't get a hold of Eric at some point,
Mhm.
there is somebody that I can call and get a pre-approval letter from. And that's really the biggest thing that we need on the
Agreed.
weekends, unless you've
Agree.
got a client who's just raring to go. But that's kind of the biggest rush ask,
Yes.
right? Is like, I need the pre-approval letter. We're
Yeah.
making an offer.
We do, yeah. No, we have, and that is important because home buyers typically are during the weekends and evenings.
Mhm.
And a lot of banks and a good amount of lenders only work bank hours, and that's just not how we roll. So definitely being able to do that has been a huge advantage. And then also between us, because we're a team, there could be a personality fit that would be better suited for a particular person that it's nice to have a couple people on the team that we can do that with,
Mhm.
or a better skill set. So somebody might have a knowledge where they just did a loan. Eric has just done several. We're doing seconds now. Specifically, if we have a bank statement second, we have a DSCR second, and then we have a fixed second. And so he's been doing a couple of the fixed seconds and the renovation seconds. So if I've got a renovation second or if I've got a fixed second, I just send him to Eric. So it's really nice to have that person on staff that has done that repeatedly versus if I've got somebody that's doing one of the buy before you sell programs. Kara does them like almost every day she's having that conversation. So that might be my go-to for that particular client. So it is kind of nice to also have some specialties.
Well, and also, I think that you've got a loan officer, or maybe loan processor becoming a loan officer who's Spanish speaking, which
We
I think
do.
is great.
We do. I'm very excited about Jessica.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what's her time frame for moving from processor to loan officer? Is that the plan?
It is
It
the plan.
is. Okay.
So we had to hire another processor first, which we did.
Mm.
Charlie is fantastic. And so Jessica will be doing probably a 60-40 split for a little bit, where she's doing 60% processing and then 40% loan officer. And then she'll probably flip to the other direction and then doing more and more. So she'll be working some weekends, but she's already got a nice little pipeline of Spanish speaking, which is so fantastic to have somebody that not only can speak the language fluently, but also understand the very specific circumstances that typically that borrower would have, where they're cash heavy, where maybe they have some different jobs, maybe they're 1099,
Mhm.
looking at I-10 loans. So those very specific circumstances, she's absolutely all on board with and understands well.
Well, and also, it seems to me like the movement mortgage is in what I think is a minority of lenders where they are servicing like 80% of their loans, right?
We do service a lot of our loans, so you'll keep getting statements every month with your mortgage payment made to Movement Mortgage.
Yeah, and so that's really cool because there are definitely buyers. I am working with buyers right now that's part of, why they're more inclined to go with the team versus my go-to mortgage broker because they're like, well, but they've had bad experience with loan servicers and they really liked the idea that Movement Mortgage they have got an 80% chance that their
Yes.
loan is going to stay here.
Yes. Yep, that is really nice. And because we're all in-house, it is really nice. We do a lot of condo saves. Condos are tricky. They're just really complicated right now.
Oh, yes.
And there's a lot of lenders out there that will say, yes, they do condos, but then when they get into the mix of it, it's I don't want to say it's over their head, but it's complicated. Their underwriters don't like it, any number of things. We've got such a great condo department that's absolutely really hyper focused on finding solutions for their clients that will come up with a yes where other lenders are saying no. And so we'll get those clients in their condo, their brand new condo home, right? Whatever that looks like. And that makes me happy because I like saying yes more than I like saying no. So it is nice to be a part of when the choice between what kind of lender do you go with. There are advantages with a retail in the sense of control. That's probably one of the biggest advantages. My underwriters are in house. I have a great relationship that if the by the book doesn't work, then maybe if we go over here it does work, and we can work with our underwriter to find that solution. And then having the in-house condo department and other functions, it's been helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I've even used it because on the listing side, I was just getting some information last week about a particular complex. and whether or not I could let buyers and buyers agents know that we can accept a conventional loan on it, or is it really going to be a cash only deal
Mhm.
because of what's going on in the complex? And so, um, usually you're working with buyers agents
Mhm.
because you're the lender for the buyer. But even on the listing side, I've been able to take advantage of your condo department.
It's true. We offer that. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate it. What else? I mean, is there anything that you feel like is not your niche, or if you ran across it, you would refer it to a
Yeah.
different lender, or do you just have everything covered at this point?
That's a great question. And I don't. I don't have everything covered, and I don't actually think anybody does. And I think too many people get in trouble when they need a loan or they need the business and they say yes to stuff they should say no to. I know where I'm really, really strong. And I love serving clients in that way, knowing that I can get them to the closing table. I also know that because of the business that we run and the investments that I have, that I don't say this lightly, I don't need a loan. Like I don't need a closing. I don't need a specific client. I want to serve my clients. I want to serve them well. And so if we have a situation where I think that's going to be best served, I've been doing this for so long, 23 years, that I have people that do that. Like I have a great HELOC resource that
Mm.
I send a lot of people to, because if you just want a traditional HELOC, you're going to keep that home. You want to go with a traditional credit union, and I've got great people in credit unions. If you need a 7-day HELOC, because really it's a bridge loan because you're going to sell that property, I've got a great 7-day HELOC close in-house, but the rate's going to be a little bit higher. So I explain all that up front. So I ask the questions, what are you trying to do with this? How long are you going to have it? Ultimately, what's your goal? And I'm going to tell you which way to go. Commercial loans, we don't do. There's some things that I could do on the broker side that I choose not to because I think that they're better suited at a bank. And I have great commercial lenders at different banks around town.
What about reverse mortgages? Are you doing those here?
Reverse mortgages, Movement does a great job at reverse mortgages. And I have a gentleman in the Movement corporate office that does them. In fact, I think he's the number one or number two reverse mortgage lender in the United States.
Oh, wow.
He does a lot, and we refer all of our reverse mortgages to George.
Well, and
So I
I
want,
think this feels like a great time to do the shout out. Aren't you the top loan originator in Colorado?
I have been the top loan originator for 5 out of the last 7 years, so it's
That's
been
so cool.
fantastic. Yes. So I continue to remain in the top 5 to 6 right now. Yeah.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that. I often tell people that, like,
Yeah.
it's Nicole Rueth. She's the top lender in Colorado.
Yes, we have had a lot of fun with that. Yeah.
Well, I think that kind of covers it. I wanted to do this episode kind of talking about you and the Ruth team and who you guys are, the services that you provide.
Yeah.
And I think we did it. Is there anything we missed?
I think we covered a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
As always.
So
All right. Well, thanks for being here, Nicole, and we'll see you on the next one.
absolutely, thank you.
All right. If you like this content and want to support the channel, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go.